Following the Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe v. Wade, tech giant Google promised it would delete phone location data that could reveal when and where people have sought an abortion or went to a hospital, fertility clinic, or shelter. But about a year later, Google still isn't scrubbing this sensitive information in a consistent way.
People who use Google Maps to search for abortion care, either for themselves or for others, especially in states where abortion is severely restricted or illegal, are at risk of seeing their personal data turned over to law enforcement and used in criminal prosecution.
Over the last 2 weeks, I've been visiting a dozen abortion providers, hospitals, and fertility clinics around California. I used Google Maps to get directions to these places and left on a privacy setting that allows the tech giant to make a timeline of everywhere I go. If you haven't recently adjusted your Google settings, you might have this on too. When I went to this Planned Parenthood in San Francisco, Google marked it on my timeline. 4 days later, it was still on my record. Across my tests, Google treated my location data in an erratic manner. After I sat for 15 minutes in the parking lot of this Planned Parenthood in Redwood City, Google deleted my visit the next day. But at another clinic, it marked my location as the coffee shop next door and kept the record. In about half my tests overall, Google kept at least some location data. And every time, Google still retained search history data showing I had looked up clinics and even sought directions to them. Advocacy group Accountable Tech did its own version of the test and had very similar results.
3 months after Google's policy update, Accountable Tech tested it in real time. 60% of the time they were retaining the data, and then maybe about 40% of the time they were deleting that data. We should feel deeply concerned. Private companies like Google collect stockpiles of intimate user data, and no one should be tracked for or targeted for their personal health decisions, but that's exactly what big tech's business model of surveillance advertising is designed to do right now.
When I showed Google my test results, it didn't address the inconsistencies and reiterated its original promise that it deletes sensitive locations when it notices them. Google also says it gives users the ability to stop it from collecting any location data, if you know where to look. For advice about how to minimize what data Google collects about you, visit our Washington Post Help Desk Privacy Reset Guide.